Hey students, here are your notes for lesson 2.1, congruent figures. First, we have some key ideas. Congruent figures are figures that have the same size and also the same shape. Matching angles for congruent figures are called congruent angles. And matching sides in congruent figures are called congruent sides. If we have two figures that we know are congruent, like we do in example 1, we can name the corresponding angles and the corresponding sides. So here we can look and see that angle B and angle X are the only two angles that are acute angles, so those must be the corresponding angles, B and X. And then C and Y are also a pair. Angle C and angle Y are a pair of corresponding angles. And then if we keep going around the bend, the same direction, I'm going clockwise here, angle D and angle Z are corresponding angles. And last, angle A and angle W are corresponding angles. Once we've identified the corresponding angles, we can find the corresponding sides as well. So AB and WX are corresponding. These sides right here. And then I'm going around clockwise here. BC and XY are corresponding sides. That's these sides right here. And down at the bottom, I have CD and YZ are corresponding sides. And last, I have DA and ZW are corresponding sides. Okay, now we have another key idea that two figures are congruent when the corresponding angles and corresponding sides are congruent. So if we are told that two figures are congruent, we know that their angles and sides are congruent as well. And when we know that corresponding angles and corresponding sides are congruent, then we know that the figures are congruent. So when I look at this figure, I see that B and E are corresponding angles. I'm going to erase this so you can see the original, what it looks like. You can see kind of that one arc that shows B and E are the same. Similarly, angle C and F have two little arcs that shows that those two angles are congruent, and A and D are congruent angles. With our sides, we have one little tick mark on AB and one little tick mark on DE that shows that they are congruent, and the 2 tick marks and 3 tick marks on the other sides show that those sides are congruent as well. So in our next example, we are looking at these squares B and C, and we're going to see which one is congruent to square A. Now I know that they're squares, so that means that all of the angles are 90 degrees. So our angles are congruent, but square C is the square that has side lengths of 8, which matches square A. So square C is the square congruent to square A. Now, if we know that two figures are congruent, then we know that their angles and their sides, their corresponding angles and corresponding sides are congruent, and we can use that information to come up with some angle measurements or side lengths of our image. So here we have the side length of JM is what we're looking for. So this side length right here. And I can see that that corresponds with the side length AD on our trapezoid ABCD. So that means that JM must be 10 feet. Okay, and then the perimeter of JKLM, well, I know that all of these sides are congruent, my corresponding sides. So I can just add up 10 plus 8 plus 6 plus 8. And when I add those up, I get 32 feet. So my perimeter of both shapes, my perimeter of ABCD and the perimeter of JKLM are the same because they are congruent shapes. Now go ahead and try the on your own. Look back at the examples and give those a try.